We are here at Malden Center Station. On August 19th, the MBTA is planning to shut down the Orange Line, the second busiest subway line in the system, for an extended period, estimated to be 1 month. This is going to impact tens of thousands of riders who rely on the Orange Line every single day to get to work, to get to school, to medical appointments, and more. And we know this is going to have a disproportionate impact on low-income folks, on seniors, on people with disabilities, on students who really have no other choice. They have to take the Orange Line. They can't work from home or study from home. I cannot tell you how frustrated and angry I am with the MBTA for how they are going about implementing this shutdown. First of all, of course, the fact that it has gotten so bad that the MBTA is basically being required by the federal government to make these improvements to its system because of such significant safety concerns is really unconscionable. Why didn't the MBTA keep up with necessary maintenance and safety upgrades over time so we would not be in the situation we are in today? And even if an extended shutdown is absolutely necessary at this point to make necessary improvements to the system, to address safety concerns and to improve service reliability, then even then, the way that the MBTA is implementing this is absolutely abysmal. Giving riders and communities and businesses and colleges only 2 weeks notice to prepare for such a disruptive move is completely unreasonable. At this point in time, I just met with the MBTA yesterday, along with fellow legislators and municipal officials from Malden, Melrose, Somerville, Cambridge, Medford, and as of yesterday, we still could not get clear answers to our questions about exactly what the MBTA is planning to do to provide alternative transportation options for riders during this shutdown. They're still figuring out what the routes for shuttle buses will be, exactly where they'll be stopping, whether there will be dedicated bus lanes across the system. They're scrambling to work with municipalities. All of this should have been figured out in advance. The MBTA should have been working out these plans for at least the last 6 months, consulting with mayors and municipal officials, with riders, with advocacy groups, with large employers and colleges, to make sure that they were doing everything possible to minimize the impacts of this incredible and unprecedented shutdown. So here we are now in a place I never thought we would be. I will continue, along with my colleagues, both in the state legislature and in municipal government, to do everything we can to get the MBTA to listen to these concerns and to take every step possible to minimize the disruption to riders. And that is going to require as many shuttles as possible, including express shuttles into Boston. It's going to require increasing the frequency of commuter rail service. It's going to require as many dedicated bus lanes as possible, and potentially on some roads shutting them down to cars entirely and just dedicating them to shuttle service if you can't have a dedicated lane. I do think the MBTA should also be seriously considering a fare reduction, or potentially even making fares completely free across the system during this shutdown. And perhaps the legislature needs to step up and cover the cost of that lost fare revenue. But we need to do everything possible to minimize the impact on riders and our communities. Beyond that, I am deeply concerned about what this says about the MBTA. Over the last 5 years, the Baker administration has assured the legislature that they have all the funding that they need to make necessary upgrades to the system, maintenance, address the backlog of deferred maintenance, improve tracks, signaling systems, stations, purchase new cars, trolleys, and so forth. And yet, here we are today and find ourselves at this juncture. So we are going to need to take a very close look at how the MBTA has been operating. Currently, the legislature is conducting oversight hearings run by our Transportation Committee, and those will be continuing in the fall, and they need to ask tough questions, and we need to hold MBTA leadership and the Baker administration, including the governor himself, accountable for the situation we find ourselves in. I do think that we are going to have to continue to provide more funding to the MBTA, and the bond bill that the legislature just passed does provide substantial additional funding, both for safety upgrades and for modernization, but that is not enough. We are also going to have to look hard at restructuring the MBTA. I think there needs to be a major shakeup, including the governance structure. We are likely going to need new leadership at the MBTA, and potentially a new way of thinking about how to operate the MBTA to ensure that it is responsive to its riders, that it is capable of operating a system that is 100% safe, that is reliable, that has frequent and accessible service, and is affordable to everyone who needs to rely upon it. This is absolutely critical, not just to the riders who rely upon the MBTA every day, but to the entire greater Boston region and to the future vitality of our economy.